Hey everyone, welcome back to First Line Therapy. Today we're going to talk about the topic of eating in the real world, trying to make real world eating possible. Eating in restaurants, out on the road, fit your nutrition plan and goals. So we're going to dive into that topic here. Then, as always, think about any questions that you have. We'll try to get into those on our phone teleconference when we finish talking about this information. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into our material now. So hopefully you guys have your handouts. Today, as most of our topics we're going to talk about are going to be fast food, healthy choices for fast food, eating in restaurant, what are better options than others, eating on the road. I don't know if you guys travel a lot or are going to have fall trips, something along that line, and making foods portable. So I will say that some of the information in this presentation, I've given it before, is a little bit, a little old. So just bear in mind that we'll read the material that we have here, but know that the data may be a little bit different now. So you'll see that as we move through. So eating in the real world, $54 billion are spent in restaurants, school, or cafeteria. So this is a huge market we have in our country now for foods and meals not eaten in the home. That's $2,000 per household, and I know that now that has to be more exaggerated than that, and $800 a person. These were annual information, so I think that's probably more now. Restaurants and industry growth, 25% of every food dollar was spent outside of the home, and by 1999, half of every dollar was spent outside of the home. And just like I said, now that might be even more. So in 1955, only 30% of the population were overweight, and now we know that 2/3 of people are overweight in our population. So we're building the case here that eating out is a major challenge when trying to be nutritionally sound. So the way that we know that our food industry markets is by added value, and you see all the time, everywhere you go, value meal. Now the sides come with meals, whereas, 50 years ago, you ordered each item separately. Just because you got a burger didn't mean that you got fries. And meal, serving sizes are just getting bigger and bigger, and that's the norm now that we think of as a serving size, and that's probably not how it should be. So yeah, all of our portions, eating outside the home have just gotten bigger and bigger over time. And then also we're having value meals where the sides and drinks are added into the meal instead of ordering just what you want for that day. So in 1957, an average hamburger patty was an ounce of meat. That's about 210 calories. And by 2002, on average, it was 6 ounces. And that's 618 calories. So that's like 6 times the size of meat that is on a burger in the 50s. So regarding snacks when you go to the movie theater, in 1957, 3 cups of popcorn were your serving size at the movies. By 2002, it was 16 cups. And just take a look at the calorie difference here. You went from 170 calories to now 900, and then if people add the oil and seasoning, it's probably even more than that. A Butterfinger in 1990, even, that's not too long ago, was 2.1 ounces. Now it's 5 ounces. So soft drinks, this is kind of a controversial issue in other parts of our country about how much soft drinks people should be able to buy and consume. In 1955, people drank twice as much milk as they did soft drinks, and by 2000, that was flipped. They drink twice as many soft drinks as they do milk. And these serving sizes of these drinks have just gotten to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So in 1894, a Coca-Cola was 6.5 ounces, and that was about 80 calories. In 2002, it's 20 ounces. I think it's really 16 ounces is a bottle of Coke. That's 250 calories for 20 ounces. And then if you go get your big, large, or extra large drinks, like a double gulp from 7-Eleven, that's 64 ounces. That's like what you should be consuming in water every day. And that's, 600 calories at least. So not only have the portion sizes, the amount of foods we're eating outside the home has increased, but also how frequent that's happening. So in thinking about, okay, that's the day and age that we live in, we eat out a lot. So in thinking about choosing your restaurant, choose your restaurant carefully. When you're choosing restaurants, pick a place that has lots of options. So if you're in a group, you're going to go out and celebrate something. When you're picking a restaurant, you might choose a restaurant that has lots of options to choose from versus a restaurant that usually only serves 2 or 3 certain types of things. Like maybe it's a place that, it's a barbecue joint and they just serve barbecue and fries and, not great stuff, versus going to a different restaurant where you're going to have lots of options. You might get the opportunity to choose something a little bit healthier. Make substitutions if possible. If you can get a salad as a side instead of 2 carbohydrates, then go for that. Swap that out for your fries. And then you can always ask for things, specially prepared. And those would be things like asking to have sauce on the side, and maybe you use a lot less of a sauce if it's like a cream-based sauce, or dressings on the side. Or maybe you say, you don't necessarily want 2 slices of cheese, you just want 1 or no slice of cheese, something like that. So if you're going to get to eat out and you're going to go out and celebrate a special occasion, or you're going to be eating out maybe later in the day, then you might choose to balance out your calories at other meals of your day. So tomorrow I'm going to be going out with friends tomorrow night to a restaurant. Probably not going to eat great. I'm not going to have a lot of healthy options. So maybe earlier in the day, maybe you just stick to your veggies and your proteins. Maybe you don't eat your grain, that kind of idea. So don't starve yourself. We want you to be eating. We want you to be ramping up your metabolism by eating good foods. Just choose your lesser calorie options on your nutrition plans if you're going to be consuming a lot of calories later in the day at a restaurant. So when you're looking at a menu, these are some clue words that usually tell you it's a lower fat option. And then your next slide is going to be about clue words that it's probably a higher fat option. So when you're picking, if you have the option of fried chicken or a baked chicken, or fried fish or a baked fish, you might choose baked fish. You might choose braised, broiled. Caramelized is one thing you have to be careful with, because a lot of places will caramelize in butter, not the own juice that comes out of a food. So you can always ask your waiter, how is something caramelized? Onions can be caramelized, just onions in a pan, or they can be onions in butter, or onions in a lot of oil. So poached, although you don't see a lot of poached menu items anymore. Roasted, steamed. Stir-fried is one to be careful of. Stir-fried, sometimes you can get a lot of sauces that aren't so healthy for us. So you can ask for light sauce as an option. That's one of those specialty prepared tools to help you. High-fat menu terms are going to be like Alfredo. That's a cream-based sauce. That's going to be a lot more fat than like a tomato-based sauce. Au gratin, béarnaise, breaded, creamed, crispy usually means fried, double crusted, fried, prime. This kind of goes back to our supermarket shopping, and we were talking about cuts of meat. Prime usually means that it has a higher fat content. Rich, scalloped, all those are clue words that it's going to be a high fat option. So once you get your food to your table, what are some other things we can do? One thing to do is eat more slowly, slow down. This is kind of a clue into what we call mindfulness, mindful eating. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Let me know in our phone call if this is something you're aware of. But it's just basically the idea that you're really present and aware. So you're concentrating on enjoying your food, enjoying the company that's with you. You're intentionally thinking about how the food tastes to you, and you just slow it down a little bit and just really take your time to enjoy what you're eating. The goal here is that if you eat slower, then you are less likely to overeat, because you're giving your brain a little more time to recognize that your stomach is saying, I'm full. So chew more. This is also that kind of mindfulness thing. Really, if you're going to eat something that's not really nutritionally good for you, or it's a little off your nutrition plan, enjoy it. Enjoy it while you're eating it. And another tool that you can use is to put your fork down between bites. So you take a bite of your food, you sit your fork down, you chew your food, you chat back and forth with your neighbor, and that can help slow you down too. So another tool you can do is start with your lower calorie item. This looks like if you ordered, some broiled chicken and you have a side salad and maybe some mashed potatoes. Well, you're going to start with your side salad. Or maybe you got some shrimp and some green beans and some macaroni and cheese. You might start with your green beans and then go to your shrimp and save your higher calorie item for last. That means that your stomach is going to be the fullest of the healthier stuff, the lower calorie stuff. And the higher calorie things, you might get full and have to save them for later. One tool that I personally really like to do is before you even start eating, splitting your food in half and putting half of it in a box. So you tell your waiter, when you bring my plate, go ahead and bring me a box. Because if they bring you a lot of food, there's not restaurants, a whole lot of them that you go to that you don't have too much food to eat in one sitting. So you go ahead and you split it in half and you have one meal now, later, but you're not overloading on that way too much food than you need at that one sitting. Share an entree. So maybe you can even, reduce your cost too by eating half of the meal that they might bring by sharing it with a neighbor. Maybe order an appetizer, and maybe order 2 or 3 sides instead of a meal. And then if you're going to have dessert, enjoy it. Enjoy it while you're getting. Maybe that's a tool that you're rewarding yourself with, is a nice dessert. Maybe you share that also. Or maybe if it's your reward for the week, you don't share it. Up to you guys. So if you're ever eating in a food court and you would like to go to a Chinese place, or you like Chinese takeout, these are some tools that you can do. Look for mixed veggie dishes. So look for mixes that have a lot of vegetables to them. That's a good option. Some soups, like hot and sour soup. Those are usually lower calorie options. And then you might ask for steamed rice instead of fried rice. Steamed rice is going to reduce your fat intake a little bit, have less oil on it, less salt in it. And then another thing you can do that's not on here, goes back to the other previous tool that we were talking about, is asking for light sauce. If you're eating from the Italian place, you can look for tomato-based sauces instead of those cream-based sauces. That's going to be a healthier option for you. Looking for vegetable-based soups like minestrone in an Italian restaurant. That's got veggies to it. And maybe you don't get a pasta dish. Maybe you go for the Caesar salad with some chicken on top. That's option. So avoid your cream sauces for sure. That will be the killer in an Italian restaurant. And the cream-based soups, and then big pizza slices, of course. Pizza, I have a hard time making it healthy with pizza, but, just think about those tools if you're eating at the Italian place and you're wanting to eat a little bit better. I don't know if you guys have a smoothie joint down in Greenwood, if there's a place that you like to go for smoothies, or maybe you're making your own smoothies. Things to consider with smoothies is a lot of them can come based in like heavy cream or ice cream or full fat yogurt. All those are going to end up being a lot of calories. Some have added sugars in them. Some might have added sugars from syrups or things like that they add. So just ask, what's in there? And you might make a substitution. You might say, okay, this smoothie usually comes with a cream base or an ice cream base. And you might say, hey, swap that out for low-fat yogurt for me. Or, don't add the extra sugar. Just give mine to me as it is. That fruit in there is sweet enough for me. So reach for your fruit and veggie-based smoothies. Calories can vary very, very widely, to use a lot of varies. They can be so different, in smoothies. They can just be a total range of calories depending on what's in there, and think about making substitutions. So when you're stopping for coffee, if you're getting coffee out, I don't know if you're a black coffee drinker or if you like cream and sugar or if you like the real sweet treat type drinks. Think about making substitutions at the coffee place. Maybe you ask for almond milk or reduced fat milk instead of full fat milk or cream. You might say skip the whipped cream. Maybe you ask for a sugar-free syrup, or you ask for reduced syrup or even no syrup. So those are all options if you're getting coffee out places. When you're eating at the Mexican restaurant, think about asking for your guacamole and sour cream on the side. Guacamole is made with avocados. Avocados is a healthy fat, but bear in mind that only 1/8 of an avocado is 1 serving of a healthy fat. So a lot of places will load you up on guacamole, and even though that's a healthy fat, it's still a lot. So just think about your portion control there. Ask for it on the side. You might ask for like a tomato salsa instead of a cheese sauce. That might help you reduce a little bit. As far as like the taco shells go, there's a lot of confusion about what's my healthiest option for picking a taco shell. There's usually 3 main options when you're choosing taco shells. There's your hard shell. That's a corn base, but it's fried, and that's why it's hard. Just like the tortilla chips, they're corn based, but they're hard. And then you can have a soft corn tortilla. Those are like the yellow ones. That's probably your best option. And then they have the white flour soft tortillas. And it kind of depends on your health goals. So if you're trying to look for the lowest calorie, one of the soft options are good. If you're trying to avoid gluten because you might have like a food sensitivity, or you're having like stomach trouble, or if you have a lot of like pain conditions, you might be trying to reduce your gluten to help control those problems. You might reach for the corn tortillas instead of the white flour tortilla because that's enriched wheat flour. That will have a lot of gluten to it. Or if you're trying to reduce your fat intake, you might not opt for the fried hard shell. So this is confusing. It is. It might just be better just to get like, a taco salad without the shell. But, it's really kind of toss up and depends on your own health goals. So I wouldn't get too caught up and worried about that. Low fat menu items, what options they might tell you are lower fat. Maybe choose an appetizer instead of a full-on entree. And be careful about those nachos, especially nachos and cheese. They'll catch up to you. I know I can eat more than I probably need when you sit down at the Mexican restaurant. All-you-can-eat buffets, this is just going to be a matter of will. Sometimes, you might consider that if you're going to go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, that might as well just become your treat meal for the week, and you just eat what you want. But if you're there because of friends and you're really dedicated to improving your health, you can reach for steamed dishes, vegetable items, salads, baked potato instead of like cream potatoes, baked chicken or fish, you know, those types of options. So you're just gonna have to decide if it's what's worth it to you, which way you would want to approach the all-you-can-eat buffet. Eating on the road, not a lot of people I've talked to have to be on the road too much. Some people do have to drive a lot. If you are a person who's in the car a lot, start with a good breakfast, like before you leave your house maybe that morning. Eat a good, healthy meal at your home before you have to go out and be finding stuff on the road. If you're out and about, try to include some exercise as part of your routine, and that exercise is going to help you counteract the excess of calories that you're probably going to have to eat because you're not getting to buy groceries and you're eating on the road. If you eat in flight, you know, usually now I think they're getting better about offering healthier options. So I think this is kind of a thing of the past. Most of the airport in-flight menus I've seen have some good, healthier options to them. One thing I feel like, you know, bring your own food. That is one thing that has really helped me. I take my own food pretty much everywhere. It's not common that I leave home and don't have, you know, some pre-packed veggies. I just toss in my bag. Fruits usually come in their own packaging. You don't even have to do anything to them. I toss a couple of those in my bag. So that's another tool if you're having a difficult time getting in all of your fruits and veggies, or you're out from your house a lot, is to toss it in your purse. So this is talking about veggies and fresh fruits. That's what I was mentioning just now. So just to summarize, it's really hard to eat your nutrition plan when you're out and about. But there are tools you can use to try to help be just a little bit better. So at least try to be mindful of these things the next time you have to eat out. And please let me know if you have any questions or comments on what we discussed, or any questions in general. So I look forward to hearing from you all soon. Thank you.